something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, howdy, folks. How are you? Hope you're having a good Thursday and Anzac Day Eve. I've got to show this photo again because I just love it. And I know Sandy's in the chat tonight. Sandy, I hope you're getting better. I can see that you are getting better in the chat. But I just think of disco for some reason when I look at that. Scared the hell out of me when I first looked at it and then actually read what it was. But anyway, tickles my feathers a little bit, that one. Gives me a bit of a giggle. How are you going? Struggling through your week like many have been. We've had a rather interesting time of it around here. I've had to deal with machinery issues, and I've learned more about big wood chippers than I ever thought I would need to know. But God help you if you get on the bad side of me. I know how to work them now. Speaking of wonderful people who would never, ever be on the bad side of me, let's welcome in the Waving Wonder for his regular weekly appearance. G'day, Vincenzo. How are you, my friend?
Well, you bet I'd never get on the bad side of you. It's not that hard.
No, you'd never. No, you've never been, and I would never be on your bad side either. But no, I'd be lost without you. So, Vince, for those that don't know, looks after all our web stuff. I think you're probably pretty clear on all of that. But he also wipes my bum in so many different ways, from being there to remind me to do things to just being there when I need to talk to somebody. And I hope I'm that there for him when he needs it too. But certainly he's turned into one of my greatest friends. So it's always lovely to have you on, mate.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's been a bit of an interesting day and getting things organised, as you know. Had to call on your expertise earlier today. So
yes, we won't share that, or are we going to share that?
No, not yet.
No.
But
the big sign behind you might be a indication as to what that surprise might be.
Yeah, I have some serious lag here.
Oh, do you? Well, I don't know. You're going to have to get your gerbil to paddle faster, or go out and log in, or try again, or do whatever it is you've got to do.
Yeah, interesting.
This is what you're seeing now. This is the tech head going into him now. He's going, oh.
Yeah. I never see lag like that on my link. It's really unusual.
Well, okay. I wonder if it's my end sending it to you.
No, it's definitely my end. It's definitely my end. But it's cleared itself up. I just closed off Firefox, so maybe that was causing it. Because I'm trying the Chrome browser today.
Always very good. Now, listen, I know you have a little silver stash.
Yep.
Ainsley will be closed tomorrow. Obviously, it's Anzac Day. Both Melbourne and Brisbane offices closed, but online you can buy it any time. Now, if you happen to be one of those people who rides the gold market today, early this morning, if you woke up, you would have seen gold at $5,200 an ounce. And then by about midday, you would have seen gold at $5,262 nearly dollars an ounce. And right now, you can see here, I think it's dropped back to 5,224. So profiteering on gold today, if you were riding the market, you've made yourself, what, $36, $40 an ounce profit. If you bought it $5,200 and sold it $5,260. So it probably means you've made $60 profit, but it hasn't gone back there yet. It's still, that's the point I'm getting to. It hasn't dropped back to $5,200 flat. It's still $24.18 higher than that. Silver, on the other hand, while it has climbed through $52, the highest I saw it today was at about $52.78, and now it's back at $52.28. it is still worthwhile getting in and buying some. It hasn't gone backwards too badly. I mean, it hasn't been below $50, I don't think, in a couple of weeks. And for mine, the number you really want to take a look at on the right-hand side is the gold-silver index, and that's at 99.92. It was a little less than that earlier this evening, 99.63, I think, and it's saying there it's dropping. So that's sort of what we want. If you've got a stockpile of silver, then you want that gold-silver index to come back closer together again. The closer they get to parity, well, you know what happens with parity. So we'll all be smiling. But of course, AinsleyBullion.com.au if you want to go and check them out. They have these new 1 ounce Swan gold coins. If you're fortunate enough to be in a position to get them, they are truly beautiful. I was having a look at one just in the catalogue online earlier today. Truly beautiful work on them. So that's what gets me about any of these coins. And you've got a couple of them now, Vince. But the detail, those lunar coins, those lunar snakes are another great one. The detail that goes into them. And our mate Pete from Pinaroo, who may or may not be in the chat tonight, I haven't spoken to him in a week or so, will tell you all about it, because he's a bit of a coin connoisseur, if that's the right way to put it. So what's your thoughts on what's going on with the market, mate? We see gold go up, we see it go down, we see silver go up, we see it go down, and we see the markets. Well, what was it yesterday? Tesla announced their biggest quarterly losses in their history, and today their share price jumped 5%.
Yep. Things are moving around a bit, and you can see that.
That
Silver,
looks like a sound.
The Byron Bob.
That's the Byron Bobs.
Yep.
I won't tell you what I thought it was.
Okay.
It looked
So
like
I'm going to drop out of here and come back. Yeah, because it's having a hard time. Be back in a minute, folks. Carl's going to keep you entertained. He'll do a dance or a jig or something.
Yada, yada, yada. Thank you, mate. There you go. I'll just kick him to make that permanent. All right. I can show you a couple of interesting things that I have been, not necessarily holding back. We just haven't got to them in the last few days. And this is something that Vince and I will get to talk to in a little bit. It goes to being careful about what you're doing with your preferential voting. Now, there have been some changes in what's happening in Queensland in the Senate race here. This morning, I was quite shocked to wake up to the news. Billy Bay posted on his Facebook page that he had quit the GAP, the Great Australia Party. That's the Rod Cullerton Party. And to paraphrase him, he quit because there were a number of questions surrounding what was going on with the money, and he didn't want any part of that. I sent him a text message saying, would you like to, or do you need any help? Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk privately or publicly? And he's basically replied that he's just going to step back from the toxic environment just for the time being. And when he's ready, he'll come up and have a chat. But at this point in the game, my understanding is he will run as an independent, not as a GAP sponsored person. And I'm not exactly sure what that means for all the paperwork that's already been printed for the Queensland Senate race. Do they need to reprint all the Senate paperwork to necessarily reflect that? Because if he's no longer part of GAP, then he's no longer above the line. And Vincenzo has returned.
Had a reappearance.
And you're probably better to explain this as you were explaining it to me today. So if Billy Bay has in fact quit, as his announcement said on Facebook this morning, the GAP party, and is no longer part of Rod Cullerton's mob, then the deal that GAP and Hart had in Queensland to be above the line, and you could just vote one GAP and Hart, and then the rest of the votes above the line, or then you've got to go below the line in the Senate and fill in at least 12 on a sheet of paper that's a metre long or more. So did I get that right in the explanation? Basically, what are they going to do?
I really don't know what will happen in that situation. Is there two candidates running for the Senate? Well, the Heart is a Heart Party is a party, so therefore it should be able to keep its above the line status, right? But as an independent, you cut your hair. It was cool. Okay, someone's admiring your haircut.
I know. You don't have to read them. I put them up. It's fine.
But if the Heart Party will still be above the line, but Billy Bay, if he's going independent, he will be below the line in the Senate. And the only way to get a vote for him is to vote below the line. I did put in a request to the AEC on 2 questions regarding the Senate, and that was one of them. Can you vote below the line and above the line? And I could not get a straight answer. So they were sending me to a matter expert, and that email went out 3 days ago, and it hasn't had a reply yet. So
wow. Okay.
Yep. So I'll have to make a couple assumptions when I do my little spreadsheet bits and pieces. But so what this could mean is that the person who was running as number 2, person who was running as number 2 will be number 1, and they will get the first primary votes for anybody who votes above the line.
So that would mean Catherine Smith would get those votes, being
correct.
The Heart representative.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that was unexpected for her. But I know she's been very busy out, most days and most nights, meeting people around various different areas. She's been in Brisbane quite a lot. She's been a little further north, and I think she's done a fair bit around the Gold Coast. So it's good to see her out there and pressing the flesh, I was going to say, but shaking babies and kissing kissing babies and shaking hands, and getting to know the people who, might be looking for that alternative. And that's all we can really hope for at this stage. Now, a lot of people have been talking about One Nation and Trumpet of Patriots as alternatives to the voting for the major parties. It's looking more and more like One Nation is just a vote for the Liberal Party, I have to say, with what I've seen of One Nation preferences around the country. But Trumpet of Patriots have been, as I mentioned the other night, they have been, hacked is the way that Clive put it. And it must have been a hacking somewhere between the printers and delivery, or somebody very silly in their office didn't check what was actually going on, because the how to vote cards that went out apparently were referencing Labor. And you can see the how to vote cards thing there. I'll pop that up a bit bigger so that I can read it. Trumpet of Patriots Chairman Clive Palmer has launched an investigation into the tampering of the party's how to vote cards. It's become apparent that a number of our how to vote cards have been interfered with. This incident has not happened in isolation, as we've been hacked and had our communications interfered with on previous occasions. We'll be conducting a full investigation into the matter. Mr. Palmer said the tampered cards would be reprinted to reflect the party's correct position. An error does not become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We will be correcting the tampered how to vote cards immediately, Mr. Palmer said. The Trumpet of Patriots will preference Labor and the Liberals last in the 25 federal election to end the two-party duopoly. Mr. Palmer said the party would place Labor last in all seats it currently holds, and the same would apply for the coalition. Liberal and Labor are the same. 99% of the time they have the same policies, and Australians are fed up, Mr. Palmer said. It's time to kick out the politicians and get Australia moving again. We can make Australia great. Vote one, Trumpet of Patriots, and put the uni party last. Well, obviously that's a good plug for the Trumpet of Patriots. But if you choose not to vote Trumpet of Patriots, make sure you do put the Uni Party last. But hacking into this system, into Clive's system, I would have thought would be pretty difficult. The person who has managed to pull off this, and it must cost like some thousands of dollars, you've got to think. There'll be a lot of vote cards that were printed there. I don't know how much it costs to print a how to vote card, but they usually get a lot of them. So, and they're different for every electorate. So, somebody's going to get into a fair bit of trouble for that. But One Nation today, or maybe not today, but in the last couple of days, have also been saying that they've had issues with being misunderstood with how their preferences are going. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at them, have you?
Not the One Nation ones at this stage, but I have had a bit of a chance to look at the Trumpet of Patriot ones.
Okay.
And that's the ones off the website, right? So off each unit. Now, every one that I saw that came from the Trumpet of Patriots came with them first, obviously. This is Lower House I'm talking about. And then the independents next. It was all independents next. But the shocking thing about that was that the independents that I was seeing was, in fact, the independents of the screen I'm now sharing with you, if you'd like to put it up. So they were giving the independents as number 2 with these guys, Climate 200.
Climate 200. Wow.
Right. So let me get my mouse in the right point. These are the Climate 200 candidates. Now, they are registered as independents, right? So this is something similar to what happened in the last election. While I ran as an independent, but I was following the ideals of Australia One, even though I was able to make all my own free choices on what I would do and how I would run that, I could get information from Australia One. These guys are all part of the Teal Party. That is not really a party. These are all Climate 200 candidates. Look at them all. And they're running as independents.
That puts them firmly as Labor light or green. Light green.
Light green. Yeah, they're all, this whole Climate 200 is all about climate change and all that sort of stuff run by Holmes Court. So you need to really do your research on these guys. And you can't tell me there's not big money behind it, because look at this. Hang on a minute. I'll close that message off. This is their donors. All right. And notice this, matching challenges. Friends of Akura matched $250,000. So that's $500,000 worth of donations.
Wow.
This mega match here, $225,000 matched. So that you double that one. Come down. So 48,000 matched $500,000. That's $1 million in donations.
Yeah.
Right. There's another $200,000 in donations. Another 80,000 in donations. 30,000 in donation. Another 200,000 in donation. Any wonder they can get in? Any wonder that they are able to flood the market and push it?
Yeah.
All right. When they have that much money coming into donation, the poor little independent has got none and Buckleys. I mean, they can't put up corflutes here in South Australia.
It's clear what the Voice of Freedom should be doing. We should be starting an independent political party. If you can get donations like that for being a political party.
Yeah, well, we'd probably make more money than we do now.
Well, I don't know. Would we? Because we're the ones who seem to appear, and we think we are, talking common sense. And those people who agree with us do support us either a little financially occasionally when they can or in any other way. we are the enlightened ones, but I don't think there are enough of us, because look at what we're fighting. You know, these climate alarmists, this Labor light, this green light, teal party, even though they're not a party, trying to pull the wool over your eyes, running as independents, but banding together and then throwing their votes behind Labor. And you can be guaranteed they'll be doing it again, because I don't think there'll be too many Greens left this time round, funnily enough, in the lower house particularly. And let's hope we clean these teals out too. But you've got to get rid of them. So make sure, folks, if you've got a teal or an independent that comes under this Climate 200 banner, preference them as low as you can above the freedom, the normal uni parties. We don't want them. What's the rest of the advice on it? How to preference people? You know, freedom. All the freedom parties first. Pick your favourite one, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, and always put the uni parties last. What if there's only 4 people running in your electorate?
Then you got a choice. If you're talking lower house, then you've got a choice of 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
or don't vote. Do a Darren Bergworth and don't vote. Right?
Well, there are many people who will be doing just that, as is their right. I mean, the government would argue it's not their right, because it's actually something that is cast and foisted upon us and made a demand on us. And there is some kind of statute or act that says we must go and do it. But Darren and quite a few others, I believe, will be standing at polling booths in different parts of the state and probably the country on that Saturday, and they'll be handing out how not to vote cards. Which will be like something like, sure, stand in line for the barbecue, take the sausage, get the sauce and run. I don't know what they're going to say, but it will be interesting to see the voter turnout, and more particularly the number of votes that have, or the percentage of votes for the major uni parties. I think 33 and 34%, they're the lowest they've ever had for voter turnout. I think we can get better than that this time round with like level 1 support, I mean. So I'd love to see them get down into the 20s. That would be amazing. And it gives them no mandate to do anything. And it will leave them practically powerless. If we can get that in the lower house as well, it'll leave them practically powerless. So the people might get a say again.
My advice to people would be, if they are planning to vote and they don't have a lot of candidates, just make sure it's not Lib, Labor, Greens or anything on the very first vote, because taking away that number 1 spot in the lower house hurts them massively, because they don't get the funds from it. And of course, when they've gone and borrowed from the bank to run their campaign, they use the fact that they have a number of voters as collateral. Right?
Yeah,
and then suddenly they don't get that money. So that's number 1. And you guys all know where I'm standing on voting. Even I know everything about the government is totally illegal. It's a corporation, etc., and so on. But as I said, do you want to let them stack the jury, or do you want to have a fighting chance? So I'll just leave it at that, as far as that side's concerned. But just remember one thing that's really, really important. Preference voting is your preference. You do not need to follow the how to vote cards. In Barker here, I'm trying to get hold of as many of the people as I can, and we'll be doing some broadcasts on FBN with them. As a matter of fact, that was a text I just got from one of the candidates there, and I've got another one lined up from a show tomorrow. So, but it's about getting to know the candidates, then choosing who you want for your electorate, and vote in the order you want. In the lower house, you do have to fill out all of the numbers. If you don't, then it just gets thrown in the bin. They do not even count the first 2 or 3 votes. They just throw it straight in the bin. So
Yeah.
you might as well just draw a dick on it because you'll get a dickhead anyway who's running the government. Sorry, should I have said that? But yeah.
Well, we elected the same. We elected one last time we did that. So
we didn't
yeah.
actually. They elected it. They elected him. We elected the people who elected him. Let's get it correct.
Very fair.
Right?
Very, very fair point.
Um,
Now, while I know you have certainly done your fair bit for Australia, I know you do a lot for me, but you've done your fair bit for Australia as well. In that, in your time on this planet, you've managed to populate a total of 6 new individuals upon it.
Yes.
In 1976, our birth rate officially fell below replacement level. What do you think replacement level for our, like, that means more babies being born every year than people dying every year in Australia in 1976? What do you think that number was? Percentage.
I thought it was about 1.6.
Well, sort of close. 2.1.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I tripled that.
But we've never recovered. That was the level in 1976. We currently have a fertility rate of under 1.5.
Yep. But that's okay because we're immigrating a whole heap of people into our country.
And that is precisely the excuse the government is starting to use. Now, look, the aging population, yada, 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 yada. But what they are, in fact, doing is changing the population of the nation and changing the culture of the nation as well.
Yep.
Now, maybe that's just a natural thing in evolution. I don't know. I mean, Australians, I always thought were pretty good in bed, but clearly we've lost the idea of family.
See that?
Yeah, well,
you know why that's called?
Yeah. The bed head was too rough on your head.
Yeah, correct. I was wondering if you'd get it.
I got it.
It's even glistening tonight because I haven't got my lights on, but yeah. So.
Ads also puts out sperm counts are dropping too. Well, fertility rates all round are dropping in the last 4 years. Cough. Anybody who managed to go and get jabbed is potentially not as fertile as they once were. So I would encourage all young people particularly to go and be checked.
Yeah, there's another thing too that's relative too. I mean, I talk to my kids because they're all around that age, right? And they are looking at the world and saying, this world is so screwed up, I don't want to bring a kid into it. Right? Because they can't see a future.
My daughter's the same.
So, the chances of me being a grandpa are looking really slim.
Yeah.
So,
me too, sadly. For us both, because I think it's something we'd both love. But it is what it is. We can't make them. And how weird is that? As a parent, you spend so much of your life encouraging your kids not to think or go out and have sex. And then you reach a certain age, and it's like, well, can you just go and have babies, please? Just go away and do that. Don't have to think about it. Just go away and do it. Bring me grandkiddies. That'd be great. And I know there are so many people watching the show who have their grandkids on a daily, weekly, or weekendly type basis and wouldn't have it any other way. And there are some others who just have them thrust upon them at the most inappropriate times, and they do a stoic job. And God love you too, wonderful folks. So anyway, our birth rates are down, but we are importing a lot more people than we once were. The Australian voter registry has grown 870,000 since the 2022
that's not
election.
bad considering we've got a small amount of births.
Well, I was going to say, do you think they're all Aussies coming of age, or these are a large amount of the new immigrants who've come through and been handed their how to vote card? I'm sorry, their citizenship card. Oh, actually, they'll probably hand it the how to vote card at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say it's a large majority of that. If we were to do some numbers from out of our censorship data, but although we can't really get the censor data anymore because they've changed the whole layout. When people started looking at all the death rates and the reported death rates supposedly coming from there, and then all of a sudden that got changed so you couldn't look it up anymore. And
they've
it's
changed
just
the whole reporting.
Yeah, the whole reporting and the whole way of finding stuff's now a lot harder. So having visited the site a few times. But in honesty, is there an influx of immigrants in this country? Well, Mannum's a small town. You've been here. You know how small it is. Right? We had the originals and we had us Caucasian type people. Right? The occasional Chinese or Vietnamese. It's changed a lot now, even here in the small town, right? So, and they're very nice people when you chat to them and whatever. So, can't say anything bad.
No.
You can just see the general change. So,
well, I was watching a person interviewing, like doing vox pops on the street in Canberra the other day, and if that person spoke to 15 people, 14 of them were Indian, and they were just the ones cruising the streets. They weren't picking Indians out necessarily, but it was amazing how many Indians there are in Canberra. And I actually thought that last time I was there, every Uber I caught was driven by an Indian. I suppose that's pretty much like it is everywhere else these days. I don't know. It's been a few years since I've driven an Uber, but we do seem to have an awful lot of Indians, and that's because of the government agreement Albanese and Modi came up with. Modi at the moment is ready to go to war over what's happened up there in the Himalayas. You heard about the mass shooting that happened there. A number of tourists were shot, and it looks like Pakistani guerrillas were responsible, or militants, or something along those lines. So looks like we're going to have a little bit of a stir up there in the Kashmir region, and this time it'll involve a bit more than scary dancing, which is that thing they do at the border every day. This time they're doing it with loaded weapons and carrying on. Speaking of loaded weapons, what about have you heard about Donald Trump's latest offer and his final offer to bring peace to Ukraine and Russia?
Nope.
So aside from a few normally bits and pieces, like you'll sign this agreement, we're going to take X amount of your special dirt, let's call it. They've also made a statement in their letter. It's a one-page letter of demands that says that Ukraine must cede Crimea. Ukraine would be required to accept the de facto Russian control of almost all the territory it's taken in the invasion, most of the Lubyansk region and sways of Donetsk, and a couple of other places. In the deal, it would also involve a promise from Ukraine that it will never become a NATO member. Now, people might remember, I think it was 10, 11 years ago, where Ukraine and Russia fought a very brief skirmish in the Crimea because Ukraine decided it was going to flex its muscles and cut off the port access Russia had through the Crimea. People might be aware, obviously, that in the Crimea, one of Russia's largest naval ports exists there, and it's a maintenance base as well, huge port. So the Russians were not going to let that happen, and for the last, I think, 10, 12 years, they have had complete control of the Crimea, and Ukraine haven't ceded anything because they haven't been in control of it. The other two areas that I mentioned, Lubyansk and Donetsk, are areas the Russians were concerned about because of the ethnic cleansing that was going on prior to the Russians crossing the border by the Ukrainians. The Ukrainian government was killing these people who chose to live as Russians. They saw Mother Russia as still, top dog, and they didn't recognize, in many cases, Ukraine or Ukrainian politicians. So those people were being killed in rather horrendous ways. And the Russian president, Putin, did say, stop doing that, or we're going to come across the border and take all that land back. And everybody ignored it. And then they decided, Ukraine decided it was going to play with NATO and gave Putin no choice. So I think it's going to be interesting. There are more talks this week. Zelensky is not involved in any way in these talks.
Oh, really?
No. So he's been chopped out. There must be somebody, you've got to think, from the Ukrainian controlled government, or like all good US set up governments, there'll be somebody standing in the wings ready to take over should something happen to Zelensky. But the argument Zelensky's putting forward about Crimea, saying, we're never going to give up Crimea. Well, he wasn't around making that argument 11 or 12 years ago. Everybody left Crimea, because they knew, well, the Russians were heavily invested there. One of their main naval ports is there. So the world wasn't going to go and back them then, and they're not going to go and back them now. But Donald Trump is got this one-page document, wants it signed. Obviously, the war didn't close in the first 24 hours that he came into business or into the presidency. So do you think he's under a bit of pressure to get this over and done with now?
I think he's the only one who can get it over and done with.
Yeah.
I mean, after all, the initial NATO was not supposed to be making their way towards Russia in the first place. That was part of the NATO agreement when it was formed. But as for the land that has been annexed by Russia, I believe a lot of those people wanted Russian in some format anyway. So, but I'm no expert in this area. I mean, I have enough issues at this place we call Australia to not worried about what's happening too much over there in that respect, other than the fact that our money that could be spent on our people is going over there to support them. Mr. Albanese, or as Tim so calls him, Alba Sleazy.
Albo Sleazy, absolutely. Yep. Got a great little song that plays up on Rumble. I can probably play it. I might play a bit of it when we play out tonight. You want something a little closer to home? Okay. A young Aboriginal man. When I say young, he only turned 18 3 days before he committed this crime. He went to a little friendly grocer supermarket and stabbed the 71-year-old owner when he got caught shoplifting by him and asked to return the goods. The shopkeeper was pretty well loved in the Darwin area, and now there are calls of get the army on the streets. I don't think that's going to happen. However, the sentiment that the people are expressing in Darwin, in Alice Springs, and I'm not sure how many other towns across Australia at the moment, is that these kids are running out of control. Now, this, as I say, this young man was 18 all of 3 days, and he'd only just been let out of jail on bail, and the charges he was on bail for were, they included rape, aggravated assault, deprivation of liberty, sexual intercourse with a child under 16, and assaulting and resisting police. What do we do with these kids?
Oh, good question. And Fern, do me a favor. Unalived. I hate that word.
Yeah.
Right? A person is alive or they're dead or they've been killed. But that's what it is. Unalived is the new, make it softer for the next generation. Be buggered. Right? They're either alive, dead, or being killed, or murdered, or had an accident, whatever. But
he's an ex-parrot.
a what?
An ex-parrot. He's deceased. He sniffed it. He's a no longer speaking parrot. You are not familiar with the Monty Python parrot sketch in any way, shape, or form, are you?
No, but I figured it was Monty Python when you were talking. It took a little while to get in there. No, don't worry. You're not triggering me. I just letting you know. I hear a lot of that come in nowadays from a lot of social media people. They say unalived. I mean, where did that word come from? For crying out loud.
I think it came out of a movie.
It is. So, but
yeah, I think it came out of a movie somewhere. And it might well be something
a comedy movie.
Yeah, like Judge Dredd or something in the 21st century. I think Sylvester Stallone played in it. They didn't have murders. They had
unaliving events. I don't know.
Yeah, something stupid like that. Yeah, every crime because crime had been eradicated, and they cryo-cooled. Wesley Snipes was the bad guy in it, and he'd been cryo-locked or whatever, and they let him out 200 years in the future, and he started committing crime, funnily enough. Anyway,
Fern's actually right there. People, when you were saying were getting murdered or killed or were dead, and they were banning it on the keywords. So, yes, you were right.
Oh, maybe that's
where unalived come from as well. That's when they started using it. But I heard it on a news show the other night, and I thought, really?
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. I've got to be honest. I haven't watched mainstream media in years. Occasionally, though, I might have seen a bit of Sunrise or a bit of... Well, no, it probably would have been Sunrise rather than Today. But I've been looking through the mainstream media online files recently, and there seems to be a lot of shit going down with executives at both Channel 7 and Channel 9. A lot of executives who've been there for a very long time. In one case, he is suing the network, and in another case, some of these very old and trusted people are being retired from the network because of claims that are being made against them, whether publicly, privately, but by the sounds of it, legally, in the background. So there is an awful lot of face changing going on. And today, out of nowhere, a Channel 9 tribute to those that we lost in 2024 popped up on my feed. And I've probably lost it now, but I could probably go back and find it and just count how many Australians, let alone the internationals, that were lost just last year alone. And people are not triggering yet and not putting two and two together. I don't know.
Well, we are let's give them some excuses, shall we? We are an aging population, so therefore us boomers are passing away a lot quicker nowadays, and it's to be expected. There is also the fact that we are eating foods that are not as healthy for us as they should be, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why. We don't do enough exercise anymore, so that's yet another reason why. So I'll give them all the excuses they want. It's got nothing to do with anything else that may have occurred in the last 4 years. Nothing at all. It's a lifetime of abusing our bodies. How's that? There you go. Keep everything. And if you believe that, up in Darwin, there's this port that you can buy for $1.
I don't know. You're going to buy it from a Chinaman, mate, and they don't sell things cheap.
But yeah, so very interesting. Of course, talking of dying, tomorrow is a day that we are going to be respecting the dead.
My word.
Right, which is what we can see up there in the top corner of the screen, lest we forget. These poor fellas who went out there and sacrificed their lives so that we could be free. Did I say that? Free.
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 Well, they went.
Freedom.
They fought for our freedom. Were they fully aware of what they were fighting for? Well, I don't know. Especially our World War I diggers, who were very responsible for gaining our freedom from the British Empire. However,
for some reason that just doesn't seem to be. Is it freedom or fee? Oh, that's right. That's on the back of our shirts. Fee. I knew there was something there.
Boom. I mean, really, just what a segue. Sorry, mate. If I'd have known where you were going, I could have set that up a whole heap better. I
didn't lead. I didn't. We don't rehearse this. This is all just off the cuff, guys. So just take it as it is. But we do have to think about those guys who did actually go out there so that we could live in a country where our freedoms would be ours, right? And I'm sure they're rolling in their graves now. I'm sure they are.
Many of them are, but fortunately, many are still alive and will be marching tomorrow, rain, hail, or shine. If you can, folks, get along and support a march or go to a dawn service. Better still, wake up early one morning in the rain. And it's so much. I know it's an awful thing to do. You get out of bed, it's miserable, it's going to get cold, we're going to get wet. Well, make that sacrifice on one day of the year, because so many of the soldiers you are going to remember and think about without knowing their names or their individual stories. But so many of those soldiers that will touch you tomorrow did just that for days and weeks and months on end. Sat there in the rain, sat there in the mud, sat there scared, cold, tired, shivering and shooting. Scared for their life.
102,000 men and women so far, according to Andrew.
Yeah.
So that's.
And I know that there are quite a few returned service people and serving military types who watch this show. Thank you all for your service from the deepest part of me. I feel a bit of an affiliation, if only because my biological father he's passed away now, but he was a Vietnam veteran. He was a Nasho and one of the first in country in 1967. So his stories from there were able to give me a great deal of insight into Vietnam veterans in particular. And I was talking to a couple of them yesterday when I went and had my hair cut. And two wonderful blokes. So they didn't want me to mention their names, so I won't. But they know who they are in the ring, so good on you, blokes, and I hope you have a great day tomorrow. And I picked up a couple of badges. So, if you can get a badge, go and support them, although that goes to help the RSL, and we're all a bit fussed. But anyway, you do what you can do on Anzac Day.
My father, my adopted father, he actually was in Darwin when it got bombed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. So, he'd just joined the army at that stage.
Wow.
So that was interesting.
So his basic training of learning how to dig foxholes came in really handy.
There. So,
and was obviously quite successful.
Well, he's unfortunately passed away at the age of 51 from a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Too many dying too young. Speaking of people passing away, and a sad day in many people's lives, the Pope passed away over Easter.
Yes, that should be interesting.
I didn't see too many sad people. I did see a few people come out on the streets of the Vatican to celebrate, though. I shit you not. This is the Easter celebration coming out of the Vatican.
Really? Doesn't look right.
No, I would agree. It looks more like a Ku Klux Klan bloody party. But
pretty sure my Uncle Jeff wouldn't be in that. But yeah.
It seems that's a basilica. I reckon that's the basilica. So anyway, I've only just got those in tonight. They may have come from a deep southern reunion of the good old boy Ku Klux Klan, for all that looks like.
Or it's just an AI generated thing, which is plenty of that stuff going around now. Yeah,
there is. In fact, I'll run that through the truth-telling machine shortly. I should have done it before I showed you all, but I was only uploading them as we were. That's why we were a bit late. Yes, bit of shit going down in the Vatican at the moment. We've got to elect a new pope, apparently. I did see some vision of the former pope laid to rest, or laying in state. But, it doesn't look like the bloke at all, and I mean at all. However,
well, see, this goes to show some things, right? They showed there's a video out there where they're showing the Pope being wheeled in the wheelchair, etc. And then they flip to another shot where he gets out and stands up and walks away. And not 2 days later, he passes away.
Yeah.
So you got to think about that now. If he was really that healthy, why did he pass away? Right. So someone's, spreading the bullshit. And there's a lot of that now.
And who else essentially passed away that day? Klaus Schwab and the WEF. Klaus Schwab kicked out or resigned, generally departed. He may not be, well, we don't think he's been on planet for a while now, but he thought I'd throw that in. He's gone on the same day as the Pope. Now, I think if you go back through some of the predictions that came out 5 years ago, you might find that there is something related to the Pope and to the WEF going down at the same time. Whether or not this happens to be it is anybody's guess. I haven't really been able to figure it out myself. There's so much shit going down at the moment in different parts of the world with. Well, like you say, AI is playing a huge role in changing people's views at the moment, particularly in America regarding Donald Trump. I mentioned the other night, and I'm still looking into this. Those Oculus headsets, the 3D headsets that you wear and you can, look around inside your digital world with. They are capable of reading not just your eye movements and stuff inside there. They're capable of throwing, the only way I can think to relate to it is subliminal advertising, but they are capable of putting subliminal thought pattern into you while you're wearing them. So they can literally program you while you wear those headsets. And so if they wanted to program you to be a killer, right, an assassin, then if you were any good at one of those killing assassinating games, a shooter game, then they would play with your headset and train you in that world, program you, set you up with a couple of triggers, and at the appropriate time say them off and set you off.
Anybody watched the latest movie to do with Captain America?
No.
Right, because that's exactly what they show in Captain America. The guys are looking at their phones and they get flash, 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 flash from the thinker. And then they try and assassinate the president. They are being mind controlled.
Right.
So, yeah, Yeah, just movie possibly imitating real life.
Possibly. How unlike it would be for Marvel to be telling those sorts of truths, though.
Well, yeah, I think there's a bit in everything. It is feasible. There are. We all know that we are affected by the screens and bits and pieces, and subliminal messaging was done a long time ago. And we may be talking about MK Ultra Mark III. I don't know, but now that I've said that, it'll probably go all over the world. MK Ultra Mark III, but yeah, it's you just got to be a little more cautious at what you're watching nowadays and what you're trying to believe. There is so much out there. I see it every day. I look at that and go, that one's fake, or that one's there. Some of them are obvious, others are not. Like people inside the middle of a shark and then he gets eaten up. All the AI generated stuff that's coming out nowadays, and YouTube is full of it in shorts. The shorts are full of them. So
clickbait extraordinary. I was only thinking about that the other day. I was watching as I was doom scrolling, sitting somewhere. Someone's getting paid for that shit. And all they've done is go to an AI and say, go and steal other people's content, create something out of it and put it up.
Yep.
Although,
in shorts, it's not huge.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you get for short? For 100,000 shorts, you get $1, something like that.
Yeah. There you go.
100,000 looks on short, it's about $1. So, yeah. Exactly.
We couldn't even have fish and chips. We couldn't even have fish and chips at Kingston for that, mate.
No, we didn't, and they were nice fish and chips.
They were.
Anyway, sorry, that's a whole nother story. All right, so we have a few busy weeks. I'm sorry that we're going to be talking about politics and bits and pieces, but if we're going to, we have to. We've got another chance to at least put a bit of an interruption into their plans. But, for those of you who don't want to vote, thank you very much for your service. We appreciate that you have that and you've decided that's the way you wish to go. Fully understanding that you basically stepped out and said, no, up yours. I was going to say something else, but I decided to change my mind to the government. And, for those of us who are going to vote wisely, right?
Yeah.
Vote the Senate. Try and put a barrier in. Your lower house is pretty much lost cause, but the Senate, try and put as many independent and good independent senators in, right? If you wish to do that. And remember, there's a good one. Actually, speaking of...
if you're in Queensland, anyone in Queensland can vote for Cass?
Yep. You'll have to get her on the show, mate, if you can.
Yeah, well, she's a big potential political star these days. She's very hard to get a hold of. So I'll endeavour to get her on maybe over the weekend if I'm lucky. But, yes, we'll try and catch up with her at some stage. So she'll want to have a chat before she's banned from chatting. And I think today she was going to find out a little bit more about what, is going to happen regarding the above the line voting and the alliance between Gap and Hart. Obviously, if there are no other Gap candidates in Queensland standing in the Senate, then the votes, as you say, will go to her. So that's a happy coincidence, I guess. But Billy Bay obviously will get a lot of support as an independent, still the same. So I wouldn't be upset to see him get there. But like you say, his preferences won't go as far.
It's not his preferences. It's the way that people vote, right? This is the critical part about it. Is there's an above the line vote and there's a below the line vote. Now, as an independent, ungrouped, as what they call them, as an undergrouped candidate, the only way you can vote for them is if you vote below the line, which means you must also vote everybody else below the line. You can't just go, I want him as number one and this person as number two ungrouped, and then go above the line and say, I want Hart Party. What you would literally have to do is go, Billy, this person, Cass, under the line and do all under the line, right?
Up to 12, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, up to 12. After 12, you can go 13, 14, 15 if you've got some good candidates. And then you can choose not to do any more passing of your vote down, right? And what that does is limit the amount of votes that land into the bigger party, like the Libs, the Labors, the Greens. And it means that other candidates who might still be in the race will get a chance to have their votes higher without these guys getting up there from extra votes they don't really need. So in the end, it could mean that one of your senators gets in purely because they haven't reached quota, but purely they might have 100 votes more than the Lib guy or the Labor guy or the Green guy.
Yep.
So therefore they get in. I've got a big spreadsheet, and as I said, I was waiting for that to come back from the AEC, but they don't bother to contact me on that.
No.
So I will just run the show. I will do it, and I will explain it. It's going to be complicated. It's going to be hard. But if you want to know exactly how the voting side works in numbers on a spreadsheet, I will show you.
I think the AEC actually did return your email, but they returned it to me. You want to see it?
So.
Yeah. Do you want to see it? I got it right here.
Yeah. Show me.
Good lad.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And on that note, my good friend, you have yourself a bloody good night. We'll see you later. The Waving Wonder is on his way out. And you too, folks, enjoy your Thursday night and Anzac Day tomorrow. Please get out of bed early and go to a dawn service near you. Currumbin would be the big one that happens on the Gold Coast. I think I might head to Tamborine and have the dawn service up there in the morning. So if you're going to be around there, I might see you there. And failing that, across the weekend, we will chat again. I'll talk to you about that over the weekend. We've got a few different things that are happening next week. I did promise you, for those QSI watchers, that I was going to be talking to Emily from QSI today. Unfortunately, due to some hitches in flights and that kind of thing, she's not home yet. So once she does get home, we are going to catch up. And I believe that's happening same time next week. So I'm going to say next Thursday night, we'll have Emily on again. But unfortunately she couldn't make it home in time, so to speak, for the catch up today. Enjoy your long weekend. If you've made it a really, really long weekend after the Easter break and the 3 days where you've had to go back to work and you haven't bothered, and off to go and have another 3 days, enjoy. And of course, tomorrow, be respectful. If you happen to see a digger somewhere, thank them for their service. And to those of you who have served, as I said earlier to Vince, with Vince, thank you from the deepest part of me for your service. Without you, Australia wouldn't be what it is today. And I speak now to the current serving members. Without you, Australia may never, ever be better than it is. And right now it's stuffed. We need good people in our military. We need good people in our police. And we need them to start doing the right thing. Well, the police can stay out and catch a few more dickheads on the road, try and keep us safe. Good luck, folks. Be safe. Talk to you over the weekend.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?